Chris Scalzo here with
Matt Howell.
On this episode of The First Run, Matt and I are going to discuss Sofia Coppola's The Beguiled. It's a remake of the Don Siegel, Clint Eastwood film from, good Lord, early 70s, 71? I know it was right before Dirty Harry, I think. So anyway, now we have Sofia Coppola's take on The Beguiled about well, we'll get into it. We're also going to discuss the French horror import Raw. Now, Matt and I, we've been friends and fans of the French horror films over the last 10 plus years or so. I think if you're looking for some truly screwed up stuff, I think France is where you go. And we'll see if Raw continues that tradition. And then finally, we're going to discuss what we think are the 5 best films of 2017 so far. We're at that halfway point. So it's time to kind of take stock, Matt, take a few minutes and just run down where we are. So let's get started. But first, let's hear a clip from The Beguiled. All right, Matt. So we have Colin Farrell, who plays our, okay. So I was going to say our star, but I don't think this is not really Colin Farrell's film, right? He plays Corporal John McBurney, and John is a Union soldier in the Civil War who's been badly injured. He's taken a shot in the leg, and he is found by one of the young women who are at this girls' school that in Virginia during the height of the Civil War. And all the men have gone off to fight. So now it's just this 5 or 6 women trying to kind of just continue on with life as it is. They take him in to nurse him back to health. They may leave him with the Confederate soldiers when they come back around again. Or they may not. But there's also some other stuff going on here. There's the forbidden romance. There's some longing. There's lots of stuff, as I like to say in my intellectual manner. So, Matt, let me ask you a question. Is this film, I don't have a question for you. What do you think of The Beguiled? Where are we? Did you, Sofia Coppola's had a pretty good oeuvre, I think, though I think the one that really sticks out for me is Lost in Translation. I confess I have not seen The Bling Ring, so I'm a little behind on my Coppola stuff. But still, have you seen the original Beguiled? Let me start with that, because I confess I have not.
I haven't seen it, but I haven't seen it either. When I was doing some research for this, from what I understand, it's a very pulpy, very lurid, kind of perverted, early 70s, pulp / feminist thing that's very of its time, and it's very kind of trashy.
Interesting.
I wouldn't say that's the case for this at all.
No. What do you think of The Beguiled? What are your thoughts?
So I do like Sofia Coppola a lot. I'm with you. I think Lost in Translation is her best film, but I do have a real affection for The Virgin Suicides, which is her first film, also starring Kirsten Dunst. Interestingly enough, I think the craft of creating this thing is lovely. I mean, the film itself is put together. It's beautiful to look at, but it's all very kind of clinical. It's very kind of detached, and it's supposed to be about this story about roiling passions and jealousies under the surface, and this comes into this group, and none of this. I don't know. I didn't really sense any of that. It's just kind of like this kind of aloof film that's basically like something I would expect to see on like Masterpiece Theater, although I think it's just called Masterpiece now on the BBC. So I don't know. I wasn't super impressed.
I really enjoyed it, but I think you're touching on exactly some of the issues I had with it as well. I almost think it's maybe too restrained, but I don't know if that's more Coppola trying to capture kind of the time and how people were kind of back then, much more reserved, right? Much more you don't really act on those things because it's not the proper thing to do. But yeah, I think that might be entirely true because I think the other things that she nails, I think the set design and particularly the atmosphere of this film are I mean, you really feel like you're here in this house during this time. And I also thought too, she does a great job of kind of, I think, exposing some just rot at the core of this girls' school. You notice that its school isn't really kept up. Right, you can see it's sort of dirty. There's vines growing everywhere. There's nothing really done, and I don't think that's an issue exactly because there aren't any men around. I know they say that, right? That's one of the reasons why Farrell's character tries to convince them that he should stay on to be a gardener, and bring back some of the stuff. But I think that's more her showing us that things are not all great here, and there are touches of that in the beginning. You have Kristen Dunst's just desire to get out of there. And I think the thing that stood out to me strongest, and I can't put it any better than this, Maura McDonald at the Seattle Times, Matt, wrote this. The actors pitched their roles perfectly. Kidman's breathy calm. Farrell's charm, just hinting at something dark within it. Fanning's way of prettily arranging herself, showing off Alice's newfound power, and Dunst's quiet melancholy. And I think that's why you come. I think you come here for the performances. I think each one of these characters felt fully lived in and breathed and full of life to me. Each with their own kind of inner struggles as they're dealing with the world around them that I think they see possibly as just collapsing. So, yeah, I thought that was good. I think that I wonder too, it makes me think, are men really truly the root of all evil? Everything seems to be chugging along at this school until Farrell shows up and everything just goes off the rails. Though clearly, as I said, there is something, there's a quiet desperation here throughout the whole thing. But I wonder too, if another weakness for me, I feel like maybe, and this maybe speaks to what you're saying, I could have used maybe a little more female empowerment instead of them simply kind of being consumed by their I don't know, for lack of a better term, lust for Colin Farrell's McBurney. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I guess, yeah, I guess I could have used with that. I guess I could have gone with that. But I bet at the end they certainly get their comeuppance. So I guess as far as the empowerment goes or whatever. I mean, I think it's more of just a study of, I think it may be a misconception that people are repressed back then or it's more of the fact that you kind of want what you want and you can't always have it and there's other forces against you and what you think you want is good for you may not be good for you. So I think it's kind of all of that coming together. I don't know if it's really a feminist critique. I think it's more like, as you said, more of a character study where each one of these people is kind of a lived in character with their own motivation that conflict with each other when it comes down to it.
Has this ever been a play? I feel like it should be if it hasn't been.
I'm not sure. I'm not up on my theater.
Fair enough. I'd like to see that though. That'd be interesting to check out. But what do you think too? So you're on board though with the performances then, right? I think that's really the strength of this film.
That is for sure the strength of the film is the performances. They're pretty much universally strong, or at least from the four principals. I mean, the other 3 or 4 younger actors are, for the most part, not necessary, but the rest of them, are pretty good at what they do.
Yeah, they're more just background scenery. They're there to fill up the spaces.
Yeah,
I think it's interesting too the run that Elle Fanning has had recently in playing. What is it? Just a young woman discovering her femininity and sexuality. You got this, right? You have even more so, perhaps, in the Neon Demon. Mm-hmm. So she's had an interesting run as of late. Yeah, I don't know. I just find it's interesting that
she's find that interesting.
These roles.
There you go.
So, all right, where are you coming down in the Beguiled then? Teach. What's your other grade?
I'm gonna give it a B minus. I mean, I think it's the acting is good. I think it looks great. But again, it's going to be one of these footnote films. I don't see myself ever coming back to revisit this. But if it's kind of like your period drama and you're looking for a good action showcase, definitely check it out.
Yeah, I'm be a little more stronger than I'm going to go full B. I don't know. I must have enjoyed it a little bit more than you did. I think it's I think the dark, foreboding kind of nature of the whole thing, and it's. I like that the motivations too for some of the like. Let me put it this way: I don't know if Nicole Kidman truly had to make the decision regarding McBurney's leg that she did. 100%. I'm not entirely convinced that it was a medical necessity.
Yeah.
Which I think just I don't know. I kind of like that darkness a little bit. I like to peer in that part of my soul every once in a while. So. Yeah. All right. If you had a chance to see the Beguiled, would love to hear your thoughts. Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Coming up on Blu-ray and DVD this upcoming Tuesday, July 11th. Is it ever going to happen? Charlie Hunnam, The Lost City of Z, is being released on Blu-ray. If you go back to that show in the archive, you'll listen to Matt and I discuss, well, does Charlie cross the Tatum line? He gets closer for The Lost City of Z, but still doesn't cross it for me.
Ever closer.
I don't know if it's ever going to happen.
No.
I don't know. I think of the film. I always think of the films that he's been in that I've actually liked. He's always been the weakest point for me. Specifically.
Well, here's the thing.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, the Tatum line, the reason the Tatum line was crossed and even established in the first place is because Channing Tatum proved that he could be funny and charming, whereas I don't think Charlie Hunnam has it in him to be funny at all. And I think that's a huge part of crossing that line.
That's what you're
established.
I need him in an Apatow comedy. Is that what I need for Charlie to?
Yeah, you need him to be able to play off Jonah Hill. That's really what it comes down to. You should stick somebody next to Jonah Hill. And if he can't play off of him, he's not going to cross it.
That's the secret sauce for crossing the Tatum line. All right, Fate of the Furious as well. Which, of course, I was embarrassed to admit a while back that I didn't put together that it was Fast and Furious 8. So that's why it's the 8 of the Furious.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So I've been trying to figure out what the title of the next one's going to be. Fate of the Furious 9, the family tackles Nazis. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I was going to go with that, too. I was going to say 9 more Furious, so meaning that's the last one, and that can just put us all out of our damn misery because this one was not that great, guys. I'm sorry.
No, it was. Yeah, it's one of the weakest of the whole franchise, I think. Anyway, if you're a fan, they have a new box set where you can get all the films up to this point. Best Buy goes with the Steelbook, which is their move. Best Buy is like the Steelbook king. Walmart, you get a T-shirt. Target, you get a cinch sack. You know what a cinch sack is, Matt? The backpacks that are just the ropes, and you tie it, and it tightens up at the top.
Wow. Thanks, Target. Sounds awesome.
Yeah, so I want a Fate of the Furious cinch sack. Includes a bunch of behind-the-scenes featurettes, extended fight scenes, feature commentary with the director, F. Gary Gray. And here's something I found interesting. If you want to see the extended director's cut, Matt, you want to see even more Fate of the Furious.
How come I not? Please tell me.
They include it as a digital copy. So you don't get a hard disk copy of the of the director's cut. You actually have to get a downloaded digital copy, which I'm not a big fan of doing that. You know, they did that with Star Trek, I think the first one, second, I don't remember, whatever one they actually did some IMAX in. You could only see the IMAX version via the digital copy. I'm not a fan of that, Matt. Just include the damn thing. Something that was previously a Walmart exclusive that is going wide, the 40th anniversary of Smokey and the Bandit. Includes an all-new documentary, The Bandit. Matt, I remember liking this film when I was a kid, so part of me wants to watch it now, but I can't see how it's going to hold up. What do you think? Do you think it will?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to hold up at all.
I'll have to see. Species is being released from Scream. Includes a new 4K scan of the inner positive. New, audio commentary previously that's imported in from featuring Natasha Henstridge, Michael Madsen, and director Roger Donaldson. And then an effects and another director commentary included New Afterbirth, The Evolution of Species, featuring interviews with the director, cinematographer, production designer, and some other people. And then a whole bunch of other featurettes that they've ported in from previous releases. But if you're waiting for that big Blu-ray release of Species, that special edition, here you go. Criterion has given us a large ent. A young man he innocently passes a counterfeit 500 franc bill in a photographer's shop, which leads to his arrest. Branded a criminal, he turns to crime and destruction. An all-new restored 4K digital transfer of the film from Criterion. They're also giving us this week Roberto Rossellini's War Trilogy, which includes Rome, Open City, Paysan, and Germany Year Zero. They'll also be released individually as well. But you can now pick up that trilogy on Blu-ray from Criterion. And then Arrow is giving us Pulse. I think one of the high points of the Japanese horror wave that came out, what was that, the early aughts, late 90s, early aughts?
Right.
So the remake, not very good here, but the original Pulse is really good by Kiyoshi Kurosawa. It's a high-definition digital transfer and a whole bunch of new interviews as well. So if you're a fan of Pulse, or if you haven't seen it, if you like that Japanese horror, that Asian horror, you can blind buy this one. Trust me on this. It's really well done. Your straight-to-DVD pick of the week, Matt, I'm going with Vampire Cop, not related to first fun favorite Wolf Cop. This is a much older film.
Are they gonna fight?
Unfortunately, no. Includes the never before seen director's cut with the unfinished soundtrack and the original release. It's not easy being a cop, Matt, especially when you're a vampire cop, like Officer Lucas, played by Ed Cannon. But with the city in the grip of a psycho drug kingpin, it's time to pull out all the stops and take a bite out of crime.
Yeah, they did. They went there.
But now beautiful reporter Melanie Roberts is on to Lucas's little secret. Will she expose him or help him crack the biggest crime caper since Al Capone? Soon the streets are running red with stone-dead hookers and bone-dry mobsters, all with 2 little bites on their neck. Will Melanie be next, or is Lucas ready to make the ultimate vampire sacrifice to save her? Vampire Cop was filmed in Florida and Georgia over 1989 and 1990 by writer-director and B-movie legend Donald Farmer, the man who also gave us Cannibal Hookers, Scream Dream, and the film I think we have to track down and watch, Shark Exorcist.
Oh, all right. Wow.
So
we may have to watch that. Why does Vampire Cop have to kill the hookers? They're just trying to make a living, man. Come on.
I don't know.
It's not cool, Vampire Cop.
No, it's not. So what should we be streaming, Matt, this week?
I'm going to go with a film we watched earlier in the year for the show. Came out in 2016, Patterson, starring Adam Driver, where he plays a pullet/bus driver in Patterson, New Jersey, also named Patterson. It's a whole meta thing. It's kind of like whole indie, character study piece thing, but it's really well done. It's really well acted. I really enjoyed it. It's available on Amazon Prime for streaming.
No, I think Patterson is great. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, I think it's well worth your time. And it made me embarrassed because I have not really seen any Jarmusch films. So I know at some point we should work that into a marathon and catch up with a bunch of his stuff. All right, Matt. So let's move on. No break this time because, as you know, faithful listeners, though we have an international audience,
of course,
when we have an international film, we tend not to play the trailers.
Yeah.
So we'll just I'll just read you the brief synopsis of Raw, and we'll jump right into it. Stringent vegetarian Justine, played by Garance Million, right? Encounters a decadent, merciless, and dangerously seductive world during her first week at veterinary school. A sentence that I don't think has been uttered by anybody ever. Desperate to fit in, she strays from her principles and eats raw meat for the first time. The young woman soon experiences terrible and unexpected consequences as her true self begins to emerge. Matt, Raw is more a coming-of-age film than horror film. Discuss.
I agree. So I mean, we touched on the kind of new wave of French horror at the beginning of the show, or as they're calling it on Wikipedia, new French extremity. So if you're kind of thinking of something kind of like that, I would say the trilogy of those, or at least the top 3 of those, like Martyrs or Inside or High Tension, you ain't gonna get that here. This is more of a very kind of I hesitate to say slow pace, but I don't know how else to describe it. It's basically, again,
we say
deliberately
paced. Deliberately paced.
Deliberately paced. Okay, we'll say deliberately paced film. Again, about a woman who's, you know, finding herself, and she's kind of lived under the thumb of her family and done whatever they want, kind of thing. And she doesn't really have her own identity.
Yeah, they're all veterinarians. The mom, I think the dad, her sister's going to the same school. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and they were all raised vegetarians, strict vegetarians. And so it's really just about her finding herself. But of course, the challenge is the self that you find. It may not be something that you like or anybody wants to be around. So, yeah, I mean, it's not scary. I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there. It is not scary. And I read a lot of stuff about when this was out, how disgusting it was. So I was expecting something just extreme as far as the gore goes, and not that bad. Not that bad, if I'm being honest. I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, but I don't know. It was an interesting film, but it's certainly not what I expected.
Wow, I had an entirely different reaction than you then. I thought this thing. I was nervous. I thought this thing was disturbing from the very beginning. Really? I think that had some really truly wincing moments. I think it's also darkly humorous at times, but I thought it was maybe scary. Like, there's no jump scares in this. All right, if that's weird, clearly there aren't. But there's a tone and a mood in this thing that I was like all kind of bunched up and kind of watching this thing the whole time. I had intended, Matt, to cut this one in half. I didn't get to start watching it till like 10:30 the other night. I'm like, I'm tired. I'll watch the first half now. I'll watch the second half tomorrow, just in time for the show. And I couldn't stop. I was on board with this thing from the very beginning, and it's a sultry, sexy, shocking for me little piece of horror. I thought the cannibalism parts of it were truly unsettling. I didn't get queasy, but I was like, oh, I really got, I don't know what it is. I think Julia, how do you pronounce it? Ducournau is, this is her first film for her, and I think it's highly effective. It's not gory in the way like an Inside or Martyrs is, but I think it's exceptionally effective. And I didn't faint or vomit like some people, I guess, allegedly did in the theater when they saw this. Seriously. But it's unsettling. It truly is. And what's odd too, Matt, I feel like one of the most unsettling scenes, if not the most upsetting scene in the film, is at the raver at the college. Everybody's dancing and drinking, having a good time, and Julia, the director, slowly kind of works her way through the crowd, right? And then we what's her name? Justine. We find Justine just kind of sitting on a table or a chair or whatever it is, and she's just kind of skulking. You know, she got her leg up, and the way she's lit, and she's looking down, like her head is down, and she's looking up through her eye. That was possibly one of the most disturbing scenes in the whole film for me, if not that was the one that actually kind of it gave me the willies right to my bones. That one. So
really, I'm shocked to hear you say that it was basically puckering your butt the whole time. I mean, I thought we have seen other films just this year that are way more effective at kind of building that kind of sense of unease. I mean, It Comes at Night, Blackcoat's Daughter, which I think you liked better than I did, but I still thought it was a creepy film. This, I just didn't get that at all from the beginning. I just kind of was like, okay, I don't know. I don't know if it's a problem with me, or I'm more inclined to think it's a problem with you. I mean, it's
I think one of the successes of the film is how Ducournau does, how she marries the coming of age with the horror. I think it comes together beautifully. I think there's lots of statements and subtext and everything that's happening as she discovers who she is. And there's, she at first she tries to reject it, then she embraces it. When she loses her virginity, that scene was unsettling as well. When she finally hits that point if you know what I'm saying, and then how she reacts with herself. Just the whole, I don't know. I don't think it was slow paced at all. I absolutely loved it, because even the quiet scenes and when things kind of ratchet down a little bit, I still felt, from me, like the one note I wrote down, I felt there's a horror roller coaster that's all drop. I was just nervous and scared about what was going to happen next for this girl and what she was going to happen next. I like the opening too. Like there's this scene in the opening of the film with a car accident that ends up being tied in later on. And I was like, so what's the point of that? And then when everything kind of comes back around, I'm like, oh. So I really, really liked it, Matt. It's too bad you didn't enjoy it as much as I did.
Yeah. Well, as much as I love Chris's metaphors, which that is a fantastic metaphor, but it's a completely wrong one, folks. This film is it's not a roller coaster with no drop. If it's going to compare it to a roller coaster, it's a huge uphill, and then when it gets to the top, it flattens out like a kiddie coaster, and then you're done. So this is it's well made. It's pretty. It's got good points to recommend it, but it is just, it's not a horror film. It's not. I'm just sorry. It's not scary. Not even tense. Not even suspenseful.
She's eating people. How can that not be horrifying? All right. Let me ask you, Matt. I went to a small commuter college. Is hazing like that? Is that what it's like? You went to a larger state school, right? Is that what it's like?
No, I didn't know. I never went to a frat or anything like that, so I have no idea if that could have happened on those, or the problem is that the school seems pretty small. The freshman class is all of probably like 40 people, so it's probably pretty easy to kind of go in there and torment everybody, but I think those kinds of things happen, especially in a bigger school. It's like in those insular groups, whether it's band or a frat or French club or whatever. That's the things that where that happens. So, but yeah, nobody was dragging me out of my bedroom at 3 a.m. when I was a freshman.
Nobody doused you in pig's blood or something like that, a la Carrie.
Yeah, I can imagine that there would have been a very big problem if somebody tried to do that too. There would be arrests and scandal. Ain't nobody doing that stuff.
Yeah, nothing ever horrible happens on college campus, right?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they don't drag out I don't think they drag out an entire class as school sanctioned stuff and force them to walk around in blood for the next day.
That is weird too, that nobody bats an eye. Like none of the teachers or anybody. Yeah,
they're taking tests and they're covered in pig's blood, dried pig's blood. So come on, France. C+.
Kids. Oh, that's right. Yeah, we got 2 grades. So you're saying C+?
Yes. And I'm being generous.
Wow. Whoa. That is entirely wrong.
No,
that is entirely
100% right. 100% right.
No, this is for me I don't know. I keep going between B+ and A-. I'm very
really.
Yeah, I really like that. I'll go B+ for now, just so you don't go crazy. I like to.
Remember, guys, this is a man who said that Batman vs Superman was a B film. Just keep that in mind.
I meant that isn't like a B genre film.
I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you.
No, I didn't. No, I did say that. But I retracted it, and
further reflection, you did the right thing.
I like though that the three French horror films, the exact 3 that I had written down as well. High Tension, Martyrs, and Inside. I think I try to decide which one I like I think Inside is probably for me the most horrific. I like High Tension a lot, except you really got to let go of that ending, and some people can't do that.
Right.
And then Martyrs is just suffering. It's just, and I only have so much of an appetite for that.
Yeah. So I don't know what it says about me that Martyrs is my favorite of the 3 of them. I like Inside a lot. High Tension, like you said, it's more of a straight up kind of slasher film or kind of pursuit film, and it's good. It's really well done. But yeah, I think Martyrs was the most interesting of all of them. It's the one I like the most.
Fair enough. All right. We'd love to hear your thoughts. What did you think of Raw? Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Raw is available from all your streaming services at this point, though you will have to pay for it. Mm-hmm. All right, Matt, let's take a break and discuss what we think are the 5 best films of 2017 so far. And let's hear a film that didn't quite make the cut for me. So, Matt, that's a clip from Split, the official sequel to Unbreakable.
Yes.
Well, it's the Unbreakable universe. It's not a straight sequel, right? We don't get to really see our Bruce Willis character fully in action, but still, not quite one of the best films of 2017. But I got to admit, Matt, one of the films I'm most looking forward to for 2019 is McAvoy versus Willis. All right, Matt. So I'll go ahead. I'll go first. You get the ultimate number one because I think my number one is going to be it's going to be a little underwhelming. It's not going to exactly be a big surprise for anybody. So I'm going to start off, though. My number 5 is a Kristen Stewart film. I don't know if I ever would have said that previous to this film, but it's Personal Shopper. Every now and then you come across a movie that kind of just is perfectly suited for its star. I think, Matt, you were going to see, I don't know if you got a chance to see it.
I have not.
Hero, I was going to say no, but Hero with Sam Elliott. You know, one of those times some things are built for a particular actor, or at least you find a director that knows how to take advantage of a particular actor's skills. And I think Personal Shopper does that perfectly with Kristen Stewart. She plays a young woman who is a personal shopper for a rich celebrity, but she's also a medium. And her brother has recently died, and she's trying to kind of communicate with him because he supposedly had the same abilities she did. So she spends most of the film trying to connect with his ghost while everything kind of goes crazy around her. But I really enjoyed Personal Shopper, so it's my number 5 right now.
Good. I haven't had a chance to see it. I remember you saying it was really good, so it's something I definitely want to check out. So my number 5 is the one that you just mentioned, The Hero. Stars Sam Elliott as a kind of an old Western actor who's kind of at the end of his career, is estranged from his family, is divorced, and he essentially finds out that he has terminal cancer, or at least cancer that is most likely going to be terminal. And it's kind of him coming to terms with where he is in his life and what his legacy is and his family and his relationships. It's a really good character study. The World's Greatest Mustache is perfectly cast in this role with his velvet voice. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. You should check it out.
It's still playing around here too. I want to see Baby Driver again, but maybe I should try and check that out too while it's still here. My number 4 is another little. It's not quite a superhero movie, and it's not really a monster movie, but it may be all those things plus a relationship drama. And another film about growing up, and that's Colossal, starring Anne Hathaway and Jason Sudeikis. They play childhood friends, and then Anne Hathaway has some problems. She's a bit of an alcoholic. She ends up going home, staying at her old abandoned house that they just kind of, I guess, in the process maybe of selling. And she connects with some old friends, chiefly Jason Sudeikis. But what happens is when she's able to, when she gets to a certain emotional point, she's able to manifest a gigantic creature on the other side of the world. And as she comes to terms with that, another creature pops up, and then they do battle, and but it's a lot more than that. It's not like a Pacific Rim 3 type thing, right? And it's also very funny, lots of drama, fantastic performances, particularly by Anne Hathaway. So that's why Colossal is my number 4.
All right. My number 4 is the horror extravaganza, or the surprise horror hit of the year. Maybe not surprise. No, not Raw. I said hit. It's the most Get Wild horror movie ever, Get Out, directed by Jordan Peele, and his directorial debut. This is about a I hate to say this, I cannot remember any of the characters' names, but it's about a young African-American who's dating a white woman who goes home to meet her family, and he finds out that something sinister is going on in the town and area environs of where they live in. So it's I wouldn't say it's not really a whole lot of jump scares, but it's really, really entertaining. It's got a good amount of humor in it, a little bit of humor in it. It's pretty tense. The visuals are good. It's well acted. It's a very good movie. So if you haven't checked it out, do so, my friends.
Not a fan of Get Out. All right, my number 3 is Wonder Woman. That's right. It's Wonder Woman. Patty Jenkins directed, Gal Gadot starred, a DC Cinematic Universe film that's good. It's entertaining. It's fun. It does a lot of. Chris Pine is great in it as well. And I don't know if this is just me being happy that there was finally a really fun action adventure DCU film, but it's not just that. I don't think it's just. For once, Matt, I'm not grading on a curve these DC Cinematic Universe films for Wonder Woman. I really think it's a good film. It's entertaining. It's a little bit of that female empowerment too, which I think is great. So, yeah, no, I just loved it. So I made it my number 3.
Wow. All right. So my number 3 is It Comes at Night, the other horror movie that I think was pretty good this year. Stars Joel Edgerton. There's basically a family that lives out in the I'm assuming somewhere in the Pacific Northwest, out in the woods, and there's been some kind of post-apocalyptic event where they never really explain, and another family comes along scrounging around, and they agree to take them in, and then basically it's about how tensions and fear of the plague and who can you trust kind of boils over. It's a really tense film. This had me on, even though again there's no titular it. Jump scares, really. This had me tense and on edge from the beginning of the film to the end, just waiting to see what happened, and it's got a gut punch of an ending. So I think this is what you should be watching if you're talking about that type of horror film for this year.
Fine. No, it's a good pick. Didn't quite make the cut for me. Right outside the top 5. But yeah. My number 2 then, of course, is Get Out, Jordan Peele's debut feature. I absolutely love this film. Because it's so much more than a horror film. There is so much subtext going on in this film, how he examines all the tropes of racism. It's brilliant. I think it's a brilliant movie, and it's not just a horror film. So Get Out is fantastic. Strong performances abound. I could talk about this film, I think, all day, which I think is a success. It shows you how good it is. I did end up buying it. iTunes had it on sale for, I think, $10, so I bought it. I'm eager to watch it again. I just fortunately haven't had the time. But yeah, it's easily the second best film of the year so far. And I'll tell you right now, I don't see Get Out dropping from the top 5 for me for the rest of this year.
Really? That is a bold statement. That is a bold statement. Because I know what your number 1 is. I mean, that's a bold statement, and there's still a lot of film to go.
I know, but I don't see how my top 2 leave the top 5. They're so good.
Okay.
But we'll see.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay.
All right. What's your 2?
All right, so my number 2 is, this is my entry into the superhero
it's Wonder Woman
genre for the first half of the year. I'm going to go with Logan, which is the swan song of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. It's a completely different film than any of the other X-Men films. It's got pathos in it. It's kind of got a Western vibe to it. The action scenes are, taking the cues of Deadpool and being R-rated, where you actually get to see Wolverine really slash the hell out of people. I think this is so far, and I'm stressing this is only for the first half of the year. This is the best superhero movie that's come out of 2016 up to June, which may be changing very soon. So we'll go with that.
Even Guardians of the Galaxy 2, huh? You enjoyed it more than Guardians 2?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, again, unfortunately, Logan did not make my top 5. Solid,
Yeah.
really good, but it did not. So my number 1, since you didn't mention it, it has to be your number 1 as well. It's going to be Edgar Wright's Baby Driver, a film I gave an A+ last week, and I stand by that. I think it is a perfect film. I am desperate to see it again. Fantastic performances throughout. Edgar Wright basically makes his favorite playlist and builds a film around it, and it works from start to finish. It is just a fantastic film, Matt. What did you want to add about your favorite film of the year so far, Baby Driver?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot more that can be said. I think now, so I have seen it again, and I liked it even more the second time. So I'm changing my grade. I'm gonna go A+ too, because I cannot believe how much I like this film. And I might actually go see it again. I liked it that much. I might see it a third time. But yeah, it just never gets old. I mean, it just, as far as, there's few films that I get impatient for the home release on, because I just want to watch certain scenes over and over and over again. And this film has at least 3 extended sequences that are just like master classes of filmmaking and editing and the music selection. It's just, they're perfect. So like I could sit there and watch that all day long. And yeah, it is by far the best film of the year so far. And if I'm being honest, it's the only one I'm 100% confident will be in my top 5 by the end of the year. The other ones I can see dropping off, but this one is definitely going to be there somewhere by the end.
Yeah. One thing we forgot to mention too, and I'm curious, Matt, with you, your impression of it, seeing it a second time, the opening tracking shot when you're going through the town, getting the coffee and going back.
Yeah.
I just remember because that's basically how the film not quite opens, but it's part of the opening of the film, and I was just like, man, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
From that alone. So, all right. Any honorable mentions?
Yeah, my honorable mentions were Split, The Black Coat's Daughter, Colossal, Wonder Woman, Guardians 2, and John Wick 2.
No, I agree with that. I got Black Coat's Daughter. I have Raw, of course. I have Logan, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, John Wick 2, Comes at Night, Split, the Lego Batman movie. And
That was good too.
I'm on the fence about Beguiled. I don't know. And then same thing with Alien Covenant. I don't know. That one's not sitting as well with me with some distance.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that statement.
We'll see. All right. What are your 5 favorite films of the year? Did we get any of them wrong? Do you not think Baby Driver is the best film of the year so far? I don't know. That
just means you haven't seen it, or you're 100% wrong and stop listening to this show and don't ever talk to us again. Shoot
us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Next week, Matt. Oh, I know you're looking forward to this one.
I am.
Spider-Man Homecoming. Spider-Man is Matt's favorite comic book character.
It is.
So I know he's excited. Ghost Story is coming out as well. Hopefully, if that gets a little wider. I don't think it's playing around here just yet. Week after that, War for Planet of the Apes. Woo! It's going to be a crazy couple weeks. The second film as well. I don't think we have anything really lined up yet, so we'll have to work that out detail-wise. As always, shoot us an email, feedback@thefirstrun.com. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and, of course, the website itself. And that's going to be the big show for this week, Matt. Let's take a little extended break, and we'll see you all soon. Hasta luego.